Greetings, lovebirds, and welcome to Rip Daddy's House. I am your host, Dave Makes Noises, and today we're asking the internets, what are your favorite in-game romantic moments and smooch? Early in the campaign, I'd attempted to flirt with a Baron. It went okay, but I was largely unsuccessful. However, I never flirted with any other NPC and continued to speak highly of the Baron, even after being rejected, so the party decided he was my one true love. When the party had to go back to the Baron's city to investigate something in the nearby area, he insisted on going with us. For 3 weeks in a row, my monk is teased for her crush. Rolling persuasion and deception checks I couldn't hope to beat. DM realized I was miserable, so he tried to give me an out. Unfortunately, he made the Baron exceptionally endearing and awkward while trying to let my monk down easy, and he accidentally confessed. I was 100% down for it. Switch tactics, told my DM I was all in. The party had been gifted a house earlier in the campaign, so invited the Baron to stay with us before taking him back to his city the next day. Insight from the Baron to see which my monk wanted. Come see our house. Of course. We were a large party, and the house had never been large enough for all of us, so it definitely wasn't big enough to have a guest over, which the Baron realized, whose bed am I stealing by sleeping here? My monk's, naturally. He didn't want to take my monk's bed and have her sleep on the floor in her own house, but she wasn't about to let him sleep on the floor. Not saying, and there was only one bed, but after having a roll off on persuasion checks, the Baron shared the bed with my monk, totally innocent of course. She woke up fully restored and had leveled up to 17. He had laid awake all night staring at the ceiling after discovering the monk was a cuddler. They're engaged now. TLDR, party made me uncomfortable in real life trying to play matchmakers in-game. DM tried to give me an out but made the relationship too much fun. Now the party must accept we're involved with politics. They did ask for this after all. A while ago, my party decided to spare a lone harpy from a flock that attacked them. This particular harpy didn't participate in the combat, but she kept singing throughout, keeping several party members charmed for several rounds before flying off to the nest. When they found the nest, she allowed them to search it as she wasn't really too keen on fighting a full party that just took out 4 other harpies. While looking through the nest, the party struck a conversation. Her name was Electra. The reason she didn't join in the fight was because due to being older than the other harpies, in her early 20s, she wasn't fed well and knew she wouldn't last through a fight. She did sing, though, to be useful to the flock and not get killed by them. Look up the official lore on harpies. It's great for backstory stuff like this. The party felt sorry for her and offered to take her with them, and she accepted. Right from the start, our merfolk monk, has legs thanks to a spell, found her really cute. Over the following months, the party and Electra formed a strong friendship, with the monk and her gradually developing crushes on each other. The group is extremely roleplay heavy. I'm talking spending whole sessions on just characters playing campfire games to get to know each other, roleplay heavy. So it all felt natural and everyone was invested. The party then got a quest to clear out an abandoned dwarven fortress. While there, they had a run-in with undead dwarves and the boss was a banshee. The players called her Snow White for obvious reasons. The party rushed in and got beaten down on, with the Banshee frightening the Barbarian and putting nearly everyone else down with her scream. Barbarian finally broke free after a couple rounds, but by then almost everyone was down. Electra held the line, sacrificing herself for the party while the Barbarian dragged the unconscious party members out. My party was very depressed about this outcome for the whole week, especially the monk, and since they were too low level for the cleric to bring anyone back from the dead. However, they decided to pool all their gold and head to the nearest city to get Electra resurrected. Now they were on a time crunch to get her body from the Banshee into the city before it was too late. They didn't even long rest, just took a short one and went back in, this time managing to slay the Banshee. They got Electra's body back, rented a cart and horses, and immediately set off. It took them time to reach the city and find a priest who could help them, but they eventually did. Most of the party waited outside, but Monk insisted on being there during the whole process, holding Electra's hand. When she came back to life, they hugged and confessed their feelings, then the whole party joined in for a group cuddle. Monk recently asked for Electra's hand in marriage after they kill the dragon they're currently going after, and she said yes. The whole party will be helping them get the wedding ready as soon as the area is safe. The first time my monk, Willow, met her future love interest was during a briefing as our party joined the Wish Seekers, the main faction in the setting. Said love interest, named Gale, was a young, mad scientist type who was one of their leaders. Willow took a single card from her battered deck of cards without glancing at it. The deck was so old and worn that Willow knew every card just by touch, by the pattern of frayed edges and rough spots. Knowing it was the Queen of Hearts, she flicked it across the bar, right across the room, like Gambit from the X-Men, my favorite X-Man. And Gale caught it easily, before seeing Willow give her a cheeky wink and smile. A few in-game weeks later, We were completing a mission when we had news from another ally that Gale had gone rogue. That's an X-Men joke. Ironic, as she was multi-class wizard rogue and was attacking other allies. It turned out that she had been possessed by a rather vengeful spirit of one of Willow's old friends, a party member from the prequel chapter, and the party had to try and stop Gale long enough to exorcise her. In the middle of the fight, which took place in the same tavern we had met Gale in, and which was used as our headquarters, Willow spotted the same Queen of Hearts on a table and went to grab it to try and use it to rouse Gale from her possessed state, only for it to explode, as it was a booby trap with a glyph of warding cast upon it. Willow was heartbroken until the fight ended. We defeated Gale and brought her back to her normal state, and Willow made a point of asking about the card. She needed answers. Gale had no idea about the booby trap and checked her breast pocket, which was where she was keeping it, and was genuinely puzzled as to where the card had gone, as she'd been holding on to it specially. This was the first moment where Willow realized that maybe Gale reciprocated her feelings, and as soon as she was able to name her weapon within DM's rules on unique weapons, she called her quarterstaff the Queen of Hearts to symbolize that moment. I've had a lot of favorites, so instead I'll go with the most recent. My character, Dova, a Protector Aasimar Light Domain cleric, is a widow. Her wife died in battle against Cyric cultists 20 years before the campaign began, and she's been hunting Cyric cultists ever since. Dova's wife, Anna Khaleesi, was the yin to her yang. Dova is very pale-skinned, brash, arrogant, strong. Anna Khaleesi was olive-skinned, graceful, soft-spoken, agile. Their opposites attracted them to one another like industrial strength magnets. After her wife's death, Dova accepted that she'd had her one true love for her life, and she was content with that, even though she'd only known her wife for about 3 years total. Currently in the campaign, Dova has been developing an unexpected close relationship with Adrian, a blind male tiefling monk warlock who joined the party recently. The relationship started to develop while the party was in Candlekeep, when Adrian convinced Dova to stay with the party after our barbarian chef was revealed to have been feeding the party black market Aarakocra meat and was subsequently thrown in jail. Even though Dova was a vegetarian and hadn't eaten the meat herself, she couldn't take the betrayal of the barbarian, so she left the inn intending to leave the group. Adrian happened to be outside when Dova left, and they went outside the city together to camp by the seashore. That night, Adrian told Dova some of the horrors of his past, and asked Dova to kill him if he ever started to become that person again. She made a soul-binding vow to protect him, even from himself. The next day, Adrian woke up before Dova and was doing his morning exercises. He asked her to join him. His flexibility and grace reminded her of Anna Khaleesi, and she thanked him for bringing good memories of her wife back to her. Pretty much since that night, the two of them have been sleeping in the same bed, because Adrian is always cold and Dova lets him snuggle up against her for warmth. She is 6'4", he is 5'6". She is the big spoon. LOL. Aww, cuties. Not long after, the party went to Waterdeep to hunt down more leads on this group. Adrian grew up in Waterdeep, and is trying to right the wrongs he did as part of a circle of warlocks of Loviatar in Waterdeep years ago. They know Adrian is back in town, so he's been on edge. Dova has made it her mission to protect him from these people, and from Loviatar, even promising that she would kill Loviatar herself if it came to that, to keep him safe. Last session, Dova and Adrian had a private conversation in which she asked him if she could attempt to use Greater Restoration to help heal his blindness, or at least take away some of the pain from the curse that blinds him. She said, "I have a restoration spell I would like to try. I know it will probably not work, but I would like to see if it might at least ease some of your stress, perhaps give you hope that you might one day see again, and remind yourself that one day we will fully destroy Loviatar's grasp on you." Adrian took Dova's hand and put it to his cheek as he said, "For now, I think you should save your spells. The warmth you share with me already does that. You've already given me hope." Dova had already confessed that she was starting to fall in love with Adrian, which created another small panic crisis for Adrian, as he never thought anyone would ever love him like that. This was the closest Adrian has come to admitting he feels the same, and Dova was just about left speechless. Easily one of the most romantic and heartwarming moments of my D&D life. This one isn't so much about an in-game moment as an out-of-game moment that happened because of D&D. Last year around this time, I created my first character and wanted to buy some dice and books, so I bought 2 sets of dice, one for myself, one for my wife, even though she wasn't in the party. Come Valentine's Day, I showed her the beautiful rose dice I had bought for her, alongside the usual assortment of roses, chocolates, and dinner by candlelight. Fast forward a couple of months when I was working on a story arc to DM in the city of Renew. I got a map off the Fantasy Maps subreddit and printed it out in a table-wide size. She was interested and wanted to be a part of it. So I had a side campaign for her where she rolled up a wizard called Lagertha, we are Vikings fans, to wander around the city with. She met some of the characters in the city and decided to visit a bakery. In the eastern province of the city, there's a little corner shop that will forever be remembered for its world-renowned Renew rolls, based on a cinnamon roll recipe my wife's family knows. Even though the city was later completely destroyed in a final battle months later, I like to think the unnamed kind old lady NPC that ran the bakery had evacuated in time and has set up shop elsewhere to keep baking the world's tastiest cinnamon rolls. I'll do another one-shot for her soon in my new setting, where she will find a familiar face standing at the doorway to a new shop with a familiar, freshly baked goods scent coming from the inside. Salutations to all you big spoons and little spoons out there. Hope you feel sufficiently snuggly after that smooch fest. Thanks for staying tucked in till the very end. If you've got a great in-game romantic moment you'd like to share with the community, please feel free to share it in the comments below. If you've got another story eating a hole in your heart, I would encourage you to share it with our official subreddit, r/MrRipper, where Scorps is searching for story submissions to slice and splice into something nice for us all to enjoy. If you're a DM or player and you're trying to find a group to play tabletop games with, you may have some luck over at Mr. Ripper's Group Finder. That is our Discord server, and the link is in the description. I hope this week you take the time to make something you believe in. I've been Dave Makes Noises. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. Please follow our official TikTok if you haven't already. It's Mr. Ripper D&D. We would be so grateful for the support. Thank you again for watching. Please sub for Nat 20s. We love you here at Rip Daddy's house. You can ring our bell anytime. Until the next one, farewell.